The first album I want to review here is an impromptu request from a close friend. I've been listening to some newer Drake for the past day, so I figured I could follow the theme with one of Drake's better albums. This 2010 classic features limitless hits, and you go down the list, it's hit after hit after hit. I haven't really listened to this album fully since about 2017, 2018, and I didn't really realize that I needed to re-listen this badly. I mean, I knew this was a good album. I believe this is Drake's studio debut. I think So Far Gone is a mixtape. But I initially, my gut reaction before listening to this album, based on my previous reviews over half a decade ago, would be 7 out of 10. Over popularized. I'll get the negative reviews out of the way first and say that I'm not a huge fan of the songs Shut It Down and Unforgettable. They're not necessarily bad songs. I still wouldn't skip them. The sound just isn't for me. Obviously, this is the signature Drake sound that we've all come to know and love, and it's become super popular. It's just really not for me. If you took those two songs out of the album, I would easily give this a 10 out of 10. But to be straight up, I'd give this album a 9 out of 10. It's light years ahead of anything he's produced lately. I know that's controversial, but I'd say the 2020s has not been favorable to Drake, in my opinion, my humble opinion, totally unprofessional opinion. Seeing as this album is 15 years old, it's definitely gone through its ups and downs of mainstream popularity, and to my recollection, it hasn't really found its way back into the mainstream in quite a bit of time. I mean, you'll still get some of the bigger hits you'll hear on social media, but you're not hearing this on the radio. You're really not hearing it on TikTok or Reels, or it's not really a trending sound. We've definitely moved towards the contemporary Drake as being trendy. So, with that being said, this allowed me to have a fresh take on each of the songs without being bogged down by the oversaturation. You know, if you're hearing it on the radio too much, it might not be in your best interest to continue listening to it. I was also able to feel the life and the passion he seemed to have when he was making music back then. He was newer onto the scene, he was hungry, and he was willing to do what it took to express his rise to fame through his acting career and everything. Is circumstantially he was set up for success. Will not argue that. I think that's a different story when you get into his background and whatnot. He really didn't have to work as hard as he makes it seem like he did. Obviously, he's one of the most successful rappers. I don't even want to call him a rapper anymore, but hip-hop artists, pop artists of our generation. But yeah, he seemed to have more of a passion for the music back then. Now it's more like he's trying to, churn out hits. So, although the subject matter has always been the same, kind of dealing with women and money, dealing with fame, the shortcomings he has with women, and how he deals with his family life, and his parents are divorced and whatnot, and his relationship with his father. This subject matter has always been the same. These songs feel like they were written with the intention of telling a story, as opposed to trying to make that chart-topping banger that he seems to do with every album he puts out every year. I feel like he's putting out a new album, and it's volume over quality, quality over quantity. He's just trying to have that next big hit. And I don't know if you feel the same way. Regardless, many of the songs on Thank Me Later were popularized. I mean, if you go through the Apple Music or the Spotify and you see, these songs are considered hits. They are considered, I don't know the numbers on them, but they're considered to be very popular. That doesn't take away from the core value of the music, the production value, and the signature younger Drake sound that we all know and we all love. I think this album is structured really well. One of my personal favorites is the way the Resistance transitions into Over, which is my favorite song from the album. And at the end, Thank Me Now, it really wraps everything up and kind of sets up the future, because this is a guy who, in my opinion, has each album he put out subsequently better and better, and just shows how multifaceted he is and the skills he has and how he can just kind of dip and swerve into these different genres but still maintain his sound. I think that the way this album goes top to bottom is just a really great synopsis of what Drake was going to do for me at that point, the next 6-7 years, until he got to Views, and then things kind of started to go downhill around 2020. I'll get into that in a different review. But yeah, I give this album a 9 out of 10. It's very solid. Every song is good. I would say that the 2 songs I didn't like I said, were not skips, but they're just not my sound. Overall, really great album, and I'm glad to have listened to it again.